Hello, my friends, and welcome to the latest spin. I'm Mike Spinner, Student Athlete World USA. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope everyone had a great week and a better weekend. Certainly in the Northeast, would it reach 70 degrees on Sunday? How awesome. Spring is here, which means that lacrosse season is here. And it's just a great time of year. What can I say? With that said, we'll probably get a foot of snow next week, thanks to me, and I apologize, but certainly is an awesome time of year. Things are getting warmer, days are going a little bit longer. Um, for me, it's a lot of fun because it means we're that much closer to travel, which of course is why we're here today. Before we get to travel, let's welcome some of our new friends for our tours for the summer of 2024. Jet Warland men's lacrosse, Philemon Tatum men's basketball, Phil Tamale men's basketball, Xander Muna men's basketball, and Steve Huizinga men's basketball. Speaking of our tours, number one, the March 1st payment deadline for those of you on the payment plan has passed. If you're still working on getting that in, just send us an email. Let us know kind of where things are because we're also in the process of finalizing our tours right now. We're really at an endpoint for the year. And so, we certainly want to know to still include you. So if you're behind on your payment a little bit and you're working on it, just let us know so we can work with you to make sure that we are maintaining your tour status heading into the spring because we're now pretty much at the spring. Now, as I mentioned last week, as we unleashed our new format, which I absolutely love, um, instead of going through tour highlights every week and process bullet points every week, I'm shifting gears to the summer of 24 and I'm kind of answering questions that I've been getting a lot. So, last week is about how much money do I bring? This week, the question I get the most this time of year is what do I pack, like clothing? And it's a tough question to ask, but here's what I'll tell you the do's are. Number one, all of our tours involve a good amount of walking. All right. So definitely make sure you focus on, let's just say, substance over style when it comes to your footwear. Comfortable shoes, shoes meant to be walked in. That really beautiful pair of sneakers you may have that may not be broken in yet or may be comfortable, may not be the best idea. All right. Because we do, and I saw it on my tour last year, an awful lot of walking. And I actually made the mistake of buying a red, white, and blue pair of shoes, which look great. I didn't realize when I purchased them, it was a Carhartt product, which I'd never owned one before, and they're just super heavy. So first day on the tour, we had a heavy walking experience, and by that night, like my legs were sore. So just comfortable footwear meant for walking. Otherwise, do we go to like super fancy and formal places requiring you to dress to the nines? The answer is no. We go to awesome and amazing and fun places where you can dress somewhat casually and comfortably, and you'll be just fine. All right. So don't go crazy with the three-piece suit. You do not need it for this tour. Nothing formal evening wear. We're not just doing those types of activities, but obviously dressing casual for those days that you walk around a lot, or dressing casual for those longer bus rides, very important. All right. And then dressing comfortably. All right. And here's my biggest piece of advice regarding your apparel is check the weather up until like 2 or 3 days before your tour. Last year for United World Games, the weather looked very comfortable in the days and weeks leading up to the tour. And like 2 or 3 days before we left, the weather suddenly changed to scorching hot. Luckily, I checked the weather and all my hoodies and jackets I put away and replaced them with a lot more t-shirts and shorts. And it was a smart decision. But I do know there are people on my tour who weren't quite as prepared and they're just a little bit warm. So just keep a close eye on the weather. Obviously you're going to a different region of the world. And unless you're super familiar with that region, you may not know how the weather changes. So just friendly advice. But otherwise, once you get the final itinerary, look at the itinerary and make whatever smart decisions you can for you. For athletes, it's always cool to have USA stuff because you're representing your country and we sell some amazing products on our online store. But it's not the type of thing to overthink what you're wearing, except understand you're walking a lot and there's a good amount of travel within the country that you're going to travel to. So hopefully that helps. As always, email address below, fire us off an email if there are any questions. Now, what in the world? So today's What in the World is brought to you by, I don't know, I haven't made a decision yet. But brought to you by, why not, Doritos? Because I've been, as you noticed, hopefully my face shrinking. I've been cutting back on the junk food, and tonight I have a craving for Doritos, and I'm not going to eat any. I'll probably have some broccoli instead. I'm convinced myself it's just as good. So welcome aboard as a sponsor, Doritos. And yeah, so what in the world? What in the world? College basketball. I feel like this year, more than any other year, the games are being overshadowed by a complete lack of common sense regarding what is news and what is not. All right. Number one, storming of the court. Like we've seen a couple of players get knocked out by storming of the court. And like to me, there is such a simple solution to the storming of the court issue. It shouldn't happen. All right. If your team beats the number one team in the country, all that means is your team did its job at a very high level. All right. And this need to run onto the field during football, to run onto the court during basketball, I just don't understand it. All right. Fine. Go celebrate. Go celebrate outside like a normal person. Go in a parking lot and jump up and down like maniacs. The players don't stay on the floor anyway. They get off as quickly as they can. But now you've had a couple of players. I know Caitlin Clark on Iowa is one of them. I think a player on Duke over the weekend or last week was knocked out. It's just so stupid. Like, don't storm the court. And quite frankly, if this becomes a chronic issue, make the home team forfeit. Then people stop storming the court. One forfeiture and it's over. Right? You don't need policy and rules A to Z. You just need something common sense. Folks, don't storm the court. If you storm the court, you'll be banned from this building forever, and you risk forfeiting the games. And I think that will curtail things quite a lot. I don't know why it's such a big story, but it seems to have become. Speaking of Caitlin Clark, item number 2. So she became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA basketball history, any gender, any level. Congratulations, Caitlin, if you're watching this. And there's all this talk about how great is she really. And here's how I know how great she is. Number one, I've watched her a few times, and I really love watching her. What a talent. She has an extra year of eligibility. She's going to go to WNBA, which makes sense. Like she's broken every record she can break. But I kind of wish she was going back for one more year. It's just been so much fun watching her. Where does she stand among the all-time greats? So here's how I'm going to answer that. How many of you heard and or followed University of Iowa women's basketball team before Caitlin Clark? I'm going to guess that answer is fairly close to 0. All right. And I live in Connecticut. So when it comes to women's basketball, I have no choice but to root for UConn. Like there's just no, I can't say they're my favorite team. Like I live in this state. I can't root against UConn. So I don't. All right. And as you know, St. John's is my favorite men's basketball team, which is kind of weird because UConn men are better than UConn women right now. I don't need to get into that. But it just seems like every historically great player has come from UConn, Tennessee, and Tennessee isn't what Tennessee used to be. And obviously Brittany Griner played for Baylor. So, kind of those traditional annual powerhouse programs. University of Iowa is one of the best teams in the country. They're a national championship contender. They went very deep last year, didn't they? And that's because of Caitlin. Okay. She has transformed an entire program. So how great is she? Again, the University of, if she played at UConn, she might be the greatest player ever played at UConn, the all-time leading scorer at UConn, which would be an amazing feat, but she still came after the Maya Moores and the Sue Birds of the world. She went to the University of Iowa and she made that program. So how great is she? She's pretty darn great. Is she the greatest college basketball player ever? I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. What I care is that there's an interest level in women's basketball now that has been greater than it's ever been before, which is a wonderful and amazing thing for all sports. All right. And Caitlin Clark is one of the big reasons why. So, in my opinion, that makes her one of the greatest in history. No one should have any naysaying otherwise. And quite frankly, it's just not the same at this point. Once you get to WNBA, I wish she was staying in Iowa for one more year. That's all we got for latest spin this week. As always, we have a precious few roster spots remaining. How do I get one? Go to studentathleteworld.com, complete your application, interview with me, pack your bags. See everyone next week. Everyone have a great week.